Hello, my wonderful friends. So I just came back from the Kentucky Derby event at the Terrace Park Country Club. A buddy of mine had me attend. He invited me. And something strange happened, and this is why I wanted to create a video blog. I'm getting excited because anytime I get excited like this, I feel I need to record something and upload it. But I don't know if it's of any benefit to anyone, but maybe if you have stories you can share that are similar, that'd be great. So what happened was, I'd never been to any kind of Kentucky Derby race, and by the way, I dressed up. He told me to dress up, and this is a Kentucky cowboy. You can see right here. So I have this special tie. It's the closest thing I had for the Derby attire, and a lot of people wore the hats. And there were a lot of older people there, and it was very exciting. And so they had a buffet-style meal, and as I was getting set up and sitting at our table, I was talking to my friend, and we were talking. I saw that they were betting. Okay, I saw that they're betting near the buffet area. They had a separate table that later became the dessert table. It was kind of interesting, and they were taking bets up until a certain point before the start of the race, which started at 6:30. But about an hour or so before, 45 minutes to an hour before, what happened was I was talking to my friend, and then I just was taking a sip of I don't know what I was drinking at the pineapple juice, and what happened was, all of a sudden, I saw a horse cross the finish line. And I saw a yellow and black. What I saw is whatever that thing is called that's on the neck. It was mainly yellow with black lines or stripes. And you got to understand, I didn't see any of the horses. I didn't know anything about them. There were, and I asked, and my friend said there were about 17 to 20 horses. Later, we talked. I totally forgot about it until we brought it. What happened was, about right before the race, I think it was about 10 or 15 minutes before the race, we looked over at the TV, and I saw all these horses, and they had different colors. And guess what happened? There were two horses. There was one that had a yellow and green. I said, that's interesting. And then all of a sudden, I saw a yellow with the black, exactly as I saw it. And guess what? The name of that horse was Golden Soul. And so what's interesting is I turned to my friend, and I said it, you know what? I think this horse has a chance. Now, I didn't have like a heck yeah, I didn't have like it through my bones where this is the one, or something like that. The excitement came because I saw it cross the finish line. And it came from the fact that there was that recognition about an hour before, or 45 minutes before. The race hadn't started. So what I quickly did is at 6:24, I documented it on my Facebook. And I just quickly said, do you think, and I didn't even know the name, and I found the name and said Golden Soul. I said, do you think Golden Soul will win? I think Golden Soul will win. And so I documented that, and then what happened was it ended up being Orb that won, which is interesting because there's a red and white horse, and then guess what happened? And I didn't even see exactly where Golden Soul finished, and Golden Soul came in second. And my friend said, you know what, next time you have these ideas or images, why don't you tell me and we'll bet on this, or I'll bet and I'll split it with you. And the point is, I don't think there was something else that happened. With that horse, there was a past life recognition. Because that was another message that came. I saw that horse, Golden Soul, and I had a familiarity with it. And it was like I was one with the image on TV. And it wasn't to win any bets or anything like that, but there was the excitement, and you got to understand another thing. I never go to Kentucky Derbies. I've never been to one, and for some reason it felt right to go to connect with my friend. But to be positioned, he says, I want to make sure we get the whole race. We're going to be seated here. And normally, when we hang out, we'll sit by the window. They have like a nice lake in the back. And there was some reason, exactly like I shared yesterday in the video blog. And this is what the timing, everything happened, and I looked up and seeing the horse, and that was the only one that matched the description. And then having a past life recognition, because what happened was last year, I should back up a little bit, when I was under a hypnotic state with my hypnotherapist, I saw that brown horse in another life, and I saw that same horse. And then you might say, well, that's just a brown horse. And I looked, and what happened, what was interesting is, what was interesting is, about an hour or so before the race, or 45 minutes before, when I saw that the color, I didn't see the whole horse. And I said, I don't know anything about horses. I actually there was something, I was kind of debating the image or something, and I said, I'm not going to bet, or anything like that. And what happened is then the voice returned and said, you don't have to know anything about horses. So what was interesting is, so not only when I saw the horse did I have a past life recognition, I knew that was the one that I saw crossing the line. So both of those things. But then what happened was the name was Golden Soul. So then part of me was wondering, and I don't want to overthink this, is the reason I recognized it because of the name. And keep in mind, I didn't see the name until they were getting ready to start the race and they're showing the horses coming through. So anyway, I documented that it came in second. I was not disappointed. There was a bit of pressure because my friend was expecting, I said, you might want to look at Golden Soul. And he's looking at me, and other people were hearing. There was another section, and they were watching the TV, and there was a sofa set. We're at a table right behind, and so people were hearing, but they were focused on their horses. And what I want to share with you is that this thing didn't come through effort. It didn't come from, like I said, that this is going to be the horse that I see. This is the one that's going to win. And this is what I'm starting to notice. It always happens when I'm not, well, in some cases I've had it where I've intended, like with the past life readings of seeing people and then seeing their past lives. But in this particular case, and I know if you guys know the psychic terms, please tell me. So I called somebody, said precognition. I called Paul Montjoy, one of the writers and a student. He said that's precognition. I called my brother, who has his PhD in psychology, my younger brother. And he said that they have these Zener tests, I think they're called. And you can test. See, because now the next step is, the odds aren't that bad, right? The fact that this horse that I saw, well, the colors, I didn't see the full horse at the time, right? 2 out of 17 or 20. That's not bad. But the thing is, in order to sharpen your psychic ability, you'd have to do it regularly. So what my friend said is, he says, Sanjay, there's a horse race tomorrow. So he said, so would you mind, if you see any colors, you want to let me know about that? And I said, I need to know more about the race. And keep in mind, for this Kentucky Derby, I never even knew, I don't know what colors, I didn't know anything. It wasn't as if it was intentional. But I was so excited, I said, I need to put this online. Because it wasn't a first place thing, it was a second place. But then also the fact that the name of the horse was Golden Soul. I saw it before, 45 minutes to an hour, crossing the line. But all of the horses crossed the line, right? But this one was second, and then all of a sudden the past life recognition of that horse. And you know what I think is interesting, and this is important, that you will have experiences in your life that are soul agreements that are planned, that play out in the physical world and you can't explain. I'm telling you, because I never see the Kentucky Derby. I've never driven to Louisville to see it. And now we talked about seeing it next year and hanging out and driving down. It would be cool. But the race lasts like 2 minutes. And what was interesting is right at that moment, exactly at that time, having that and then seeing the realization on TV and making sure he positioned it. Because I'll be honest with you, I would have thought of that image perhaps, but I wouldn't have verified it on TV. I would not have thought anything. Because I didn't even think anything more of it. And then I saw it on TV. And I saw the horse. And so it's kind of interesting, but when these psychic things happen, they don't always happen for the reasons you think they should happen. So I've had people already ask me, did you place a bet on the horse? And I talked to somebody, I was picking up some beverages on the way back, returning. And one guy said, well, you could have, and somebody told me this, you could have bet first, second, and third, right? But if I had bet first, I would have lost, because that would have, right? Who would have had that prediction thinking that it was second? Right? I mean, I just saw it. But if you bet, see, the thing is, if you had bet first, second, and third, one of them would have won. So it would have been second in this case. But what's interesting is they say there's ways to develop your abilities and to learn more about this. And so there's psychics, there are people at psychic villages that know how to do this. But it's also overlapping with psychology. This is totally paranormal psychology, parapsychology as they call it, right? William James did study paranormal aspects and phenomena, and then that overlaps with parapsychology. But it's just fascinating. I mean, I'm amazed, and I noticed this stuff. What's neat is, wouldn't it be neat to win the lottery, like with this, just to be able to say, oh, I'm going to pick this up, and the ticket is randomized, and you still win. But then you could do a lot of good with it. There's the reason. But what's interesting is this came without effort. And it's making me wonder, and if you can share your thoughts or your stories, can you do it at will? Can you do it at effort? Because it's happening at another level. Um, you know what I mean? It's like and I got color images. And I'm noticing another thing is it's happening in different ways. Sometimes it happens with the images and no words. There was no name. I just saw the yellow and black. But then what's interesting is I've had other times where I go into the picture, like remote viewing. I'm in the location. So I want to study this because I think it's fascinating. But then another part of me was thinking, how could you live like this? How would you live like like a 24-hour psychic? What if you have the ability to just do this all the time? But then you know what I mean? It's like, what about the other aspects? What about thinking? You know, all these other things that you need to do to live. But it's very exciting because it's validation that something else is going on. And especially with the past life recognition. And there's a soul connection. And the idea that the name was Golden Soul. And the name that it's just unbelievable. But, well, if anyone from the Golden Soul horse committee or group, we should say, is watching this, that horse is very special. Past life-wise and otherwise, that horse is something, and it's incredible. And somebody said, you know, my friend said, he said, you know, that horse could be a first-place winner. He turned to me, he says, that might be a first-place winner. I mean, I saw it cross the finish line, but it came in second. And it's not whether you win or lose, right? It's whether you keep racing. So that's the thing, or whether you even did that. And Golden Soul definitely did that. So what a day! What an event! And I'd love to hear your stories. If you want to share your stories, your precognition stories, if you've had anything similar, if you're able to do it at will, right? Or because it's interesting to note too, because this thing just happened. It streamed, and then I debated the colors. I looked at the colors and I said, I don't know anything about horses, and I didn't even think much about it after that point. Like kind of, and then the voice said, you don't need to know anything about horses. And so I don't know why I had that, and then 45 minutes to an hour later, there was that. And in between that time, right before, actually, it was, I think before, there was the betting going on, or it was right after. But then I noticed the betting going on, and then I just thought the same thing. I'm like, you don't have pictures of the horses, you don't know I mean, people knew the horses, I'm sure, but I didn't know anything about the horses. So, but it was interesting to see all of this happen and unfold as it had. So all in all, a great day. If you watched the Kentucky Derby, I hope you had fun. But see what happens, what comes to your mind. Ask yourself which horse is going to win or how are the horses going to place. But I don't know if you'd want to bet money on that. But I wonder if it's symbolic of, are you willing to bet on yourself? I think are you willing to trust what you receive? Because you're receiving it. It wasn't even like asked for, but it was coming in for that reason, and then the recognitions that happened. But anyway, hope you're having a great day. I'll talk to you later.